morning, everybody. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I am your host, or hostess as the case might be. This morning, it's Thursday, the 20th of November.
Unbelievable.
Yep, these Thursdays are going by real fast. Sam Chase is my co-host. We have the Dawn Patrol from 7 to 8 o'clock. You can see it's a little bit past 6. John's going to put us on Facebook, and we'll see how that all goes. This morning, it was a little on the chilly side coming in. About 24 degrees at my house. What was it at yours, Sam's? Did you check?
I got up at 3:45, and it was 22.
No wind, though.
No, 22 and no wind.
No,
Right.
It's been windy. I mean,
It actually
really windy.
felt warmer at 22 with no wind than it did the other day at 40 with the breeze. So that wind chill that they tell you is real.
And then some.
Yeah, but they never had that when I was a kid. Nobody ever talked about that, but it's...
Well, that depends on who you talk to. My father grew up on a farm. He talked about a wind chill.
Yeah, but the weather people didn't, is what I'm saying.
Right, and I'm waiting to find out what kind of like the first snowstorm will be in Massachusetts, because
You got
my
hit in
father
New
had,
Hampshire, huh?
my father didn't know all the ins and outs of the technology of weather predicting the way that we
Did he
have it
read the
today.
Farmer's Almanac?
Yes.
There you go.
John Kennedy.
Then the other thing that he did was he learned, because they didn't have weather predictions back in the 20s and 30s, learned how to read the clouds.
Yeah.
And but the problem
And
that,
the animals, too. Read the animals.
well, there's, and insects.
Yep.
So there's a lot you can watch, because one of the things when we were little, and he'd go, well, it looks like it's going to rain, and we were like, and that's when we were little. So again, we're ahead of the meteorologists, generally speaking. Why? Well, the cows are laying down in the field, and when they lay down in the field, it means that there's inclement weather coming. So I learned a number of things from when I was little about weather, based upon what my father told me. And when I was driving my oldest granddaughter back and forth to college for a couple of weeks, I talked about that, because I said, now see these cloud formations up here? See how the lines come down like this? You can see it. I said, that's rain. I said, sometimes it could be snow if it's lighter in color, but basically you're seeing the rain. And she was like, really? So anyway, well, on the way home, later on in the day, she goes, oh, it must be raining over there. This is a 19-year-old. I said, well, we'll have to wait and see. I says, we're going to get close to it. Sure enough, the closer we got, it rained.
No, she
And
was
so-
she was paying attention. That's
Yes.
good.
So my father talked about that when I was growing up, so it's something that I do recall. But as far as all of the different things and that, he would say, well, the first storm is going to tell you something about how the rest of the winter is going to go. So if perchance Chelmsford Lowell is on...
Did your dad know Powwow the Indian boy?
No, and I don't want to be sarcastic about my father, if you don't mind. Please.
Well, I'm just telling you that this is all baloney.
I'm going to explain it. Let me finish. I'm almost done.
Well, you've been going
gotta
on.
So
li-
when you
you
have
gotta
the
listen to
line,
you gotta listen
when
to the
you
farmers.
have the line, okay,
I'm got you.
okay.
Not
Okay,
picking
so
on your
let's say
dad.
that the snow ice line is Lowell. What I found was that snow ice line didn't vary very much. If you follow how the jet stream went, and you follow El Nino and what all the other stuff is, that's how they can predict, is when you see how that flow goes and how it's pulling air down and everything. Generally speaking, almost all of the storms will follow a certain pattern.
Now, you should talk to Candy, because she taught fifth grade for many, many years, and and she did science. You remember, they used to trade off with
Yes.
team teaching,
Yes.
they do science and math for 3 or 4
Yeah,
years.
elementary
and-
does that,
yeah.
yep.
So, she had the whole curriculum, but when she was doing science, there was a weather component that they had to teach. And she talked about it all the time. It was interesting, because I would read over her curriculum material, because, what do I know? I never studied weather. But what you just said is what they were teaching the kids. That was part of the curriculum, that contrary to, everyone's into this climate change thing, but a lot of that stuff can be explained by the jet stream patterns and the El Niñas and El Niños wind patterns. And it's fascinating, I think. But you're right. But to John's point, I got to tell you, I grew up in the town of Concord back in, the old century, as you used to say, and we still had a lot of working farms in town, and most of us, my age, worked on a farm. I worked on actually 3 farms when I was a kid, all the way through high school. And let me tell you, the farmers knew how to gauge the weather, and I think it was, to your point, it was a combination of, watching the behavior of the animals. That was one thing, and they had their ways, and a lot of times they were pretty accurate,
Well, because you didn't have, and also to when John asked the question about the Indians, they knew.
You just never watched that cartoon.
I'm not
Sam,
watching.
did you ever watch Powwow the Indian Boy?
No.
Never heard of it.
Oh my
It's
God.
a cartoon?
Love that kid.
Never heard of it.
The thing is that
He was friends with all the animals.
Well, smart guy then.
Good
My father
little,
didn't
good little
have
boy.
Watch the animals.
right.
Powwow the Indian Boy.
There was something, I'll have to see if I have it in my phone to forward it to you. It had to do with like the woolly caterpillar or something,
Yes.
and you have black and orange, and where it is and how wide it is and whether or not there's one or two is a predictor of weather.
Really?
So, yeah.
The caterpillars, okay.
So, I mean, that's if you have them. I'd have to go find one. There's
I
not that
haven't
many
s-
in my yard.
No, I haven't seen a woolly caterpillar for a long time.
Right, but I mean, there's a
Yeah.
lot of indicators that's out there if you want to look. And we have an awful lot of technology, but a lot of stuff
Pay
has
attention
been...
to nature.
Absolutely. If the birds are leaving, there's a storm coming. If you have the seagulls inland, it means something's going on out in the ocean because they're coming inland because they can't stay out there. So on occasion, in New Hampshire, we'll have the seagulls on the lake.
Now, you had snow this past week, right?
Yes, but I didn't see too much with the birds. I haven't heard the loons, so they may have already left.
So
but
I'm
the
so
ducks are still
sorry
there.
that you kids had lousy TV in Concord and lousy TV in Quincy. We used to watch Powwow the Indian.
Well, what year was this?
I was going to say, when was
We're
it
all
on?
the
What
same
station?
age.
What
So this
station?
would have been in
So
the 50s and
late
60s.
50s? Late 50s for you?
50s and 60s.
All right.
Powwow the Indian
Well,
Boy.
I was 13 in 1960, so
Well,
that
some
was
of this looks-
probably a little bit,
It does look
beyond
familiar.
me.
It looks familiar,
no, never saw it.
but
Powwow the
I
Even
don't
a song,
remember.
Powwow the Indian Boy.
Oh, and he had a girlfriend, too.
Of course, didn't we all?
Yeah, there you go.
so
was the
you're
girl's-
bringing
what was the
back you're
girl's
bringing
name?
back a memory, but it wasn't something that was right up there because I got a lot in my head.
What was the girl's name?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you see.
She wasn't in the song. I just remember the song, Powwow the Indian Boy.
1958.
Never heard of it.
It was in 1958.
Back to you
We
guys
didn't watch
on the
much
Dawn
TV.
Patrol.
No, we didn't
I was
either.
lucky that we had a black and white television. We had a Philips with 2 L's.
All right, here's a good question.
Black and white tube.
When did you either see for the first time or your family get a color TV? Remember?
When Kennedy was assassinated.
Really?
Yes,
Wow.
1963, my grandmother drop shipped a Zenith.
You were really
Console.
You were ahead of the curve.
Well, that's only because my uncle sold Zenith televisions.
Well, that would
And
do
she
it.
drop shipped one.
But there weren't that many programs in '63 in color. The regular network.
I don't know. There were some because just the
Oh,
way
sure,
it
there
was.
was some. There was some, but
I mean, we
yeah.
watched The Wonderful World of Color, NBC, and we watched the thing with the Ponderosa.
Bonanza,
Bonanza.
my father's favorite show.
We watched. I'm trying to think of all the other ones. Anybody out there, if you're
If
listening?
Hoss Cartwright showed up at the door, my wife would have left me.
She
She
was like-
loved Hoss Cartwright.
Oh yeah, he was good. Dan Blocker was a
she
good
said,
actor.
Oh, yeah, he was-
Hoss
he was
is
really
my
nice.
guy.
I always found it. I mean, that show was funny. I mean, obviously, if you looked at the 3 boys and the father, you couldn't see the ratio of age between them, right? I mean, they were actually pretty close in age, but
This is the last bit I'm going to do about Powwow, the Indian boy. This is the lyrics to his song. Powwow, the Indian boy, loved all the animals and the woods.
okay. What?
Loved it.
Did-
But he would talk about weather and animals, and
So it was
Always
kind of,
had
it was
fun.
sort of an educational
Right, but
thing.
it was also way
right.
after my dad. My dad was born in 1921,
Never
and they
heard
did
of it.
not have a television.
Well, your dad was one of the original weather guessers?
Oh, no, the original ones go back centuries. When
Weather
you,
guessers? Like this
Yeah.
morning, I'm watching Channel 5, and Cindy decides she's going to become a nut on TV. She goes, I come in this morning, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what she was showing me. Oh, it's going to rain.
Today,
It's going to rain. Who cares?
we need all the
Well,
rain we
and
can
this
get.
woman-
I'm
This
with
woman's
you.
getting-
I'm with you 100%. So we used to turn on the radio and the TV, and they would give us a weather report, and nobody thought anything of it because rain is normal, snow is normal, cold is normal in the winter, heat is normal in the summer. Okay, so big deal. Now, John, it isn't just weather; it's a weather event.
I
Okay.
had to put the heat on in the car.
Oh my God! What are we going to do?
All right, so
Oh.
for Lowell,
I couldn't put my window down.
Folks, get a grip, for God's sakes. We're in New England, okay?
some of them are crazy.
I know.
But
Goodbye, Cindy. I'm done with her.
all right.
Oh, I like her, though.
So as
She's
far as
Oh, no,
as
that
far
new
as
chick on
weather
weekends?
forecasts go, in case anybody wants to know. All right. So today is Thursday. The high today is 45. We've reached the
Oh,
low.
good.
We've reached the
Good.
low.
Sun's gonna be out?
Yes,
Good.
and there'll be some clouds. There's more clouds tomorrow. The high will be 49. Saturday, the high is 46. A 25% chance that it might rain.
Yeah.
Sunday is okay. 43 is the high. Brings us into Monday, which is Thanksgiving week.
Good.
And in Thanksgiving week, we don't have anything here.
No snow on Wednesday? 'Cause
No snow on Wednesday.
Jennifer's driving up from DC. All right, she'll be
There's a
fine.
possibility in the
Okay.
evening on Tuesday, there may be snow, 68% chance,
Yeah.
not snow, rain. And there may be an 84% chance in the evening on Friday that will
rain.
have sleet.
Oh, sleep.
It will be snowing somewhere along the line on the 30th, that's Sunday. And then there's sleet predicted for next week, the week after, the first week. So we're supposed to have the landscapers come up and put in a patio, so we'll see how they do in the snow and rain and ice.
Are they gonna work under those conditions?
Said he was. We'll see. I'm not overly concerned. As long as it's good weather, it's up to them.
Well, we just had our master bathroom redone. And one of the things they did, they put in well, of course we have lights.
Or do they put the fan in with the heat?
They put the heat in, the fan heat thing, and let me tell you, and it's a very small room, okay?
Right, because the other one we have is huge.
That thing is unbelievable. So I said to my wife, okay, I got this all figured out, right? And she says, all right, what? I said, here's what you do. I said, 4 or 5 minutes before you want to go into the bathroom.
Oh, yeah, you flip the switch.
I said, you turn it on and you close the bathroom door. I said, and it only takes about 2 minutes. I said, 2 minutes, you open that door, and the thing is just as warm as toast. Well, she came out this morning, and she says, do I love this? I said, yeah, it's fantastic. Simple little thing like that.
I told you that's what we had.
Yeah, but you
Because we
said,
had no heat.
yeah, but in your case, you said the room was kind of too large for the unit you had. But I'm sure it's better than nothing, right? But in a very
That's
small...
because we have high ceilings and there's no fan in the bathroom.
And our ceilings are relatively
We
low.
don't have,
What did you install in the bathrooms?
It's a heat pump type thing with a fan, and it's up here in the ceiling, and you flip the switch, and it blows warm air down. Oh, it's wonderful.
so it's an exhaust fan, but it's also a heat.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Yeah, oh,
with a
it's-
fan,
It's
yeah.
fantastic.
Lovely.
So if
Yeah.
you have like, you're under 8-foot ceilings, but where we have ours.
7 feet 6 inches, Campanelli
The
Ranch.
ceiling,
One
the
of my
ceiling
friends,
goes up 12
John
feet.
Zimini, he's a frequent flyer on the show here. Nice guy. He's building a
look
new
at this.
house. He's building a new house.
Is he? Where?
Pelham. And I'm trying to get him to put an electric floor in his bathroom
Well, this was an option that they told us, but you know
and instant hot water in the bathroom.
what? Oh, so
There's
like
no waiting. You turn it on, it comes out
so
warm.
like
right-
a Renai unit.
Oh, we have one of those.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. I'm going to
Yeah.
read these two texts.
We can-
The powwow tree on Clark Road has its own Facebook page. Oh, good. Good to know that. And did everyone see the blinking signs advertising snowplow drivers
Yes.
wanted in Lowell for $185 an hour?
I saw that. It was on the Lowell connector. I saw that coming
And you
in.
get the $185 an hour only if you know the city manager.
I would, you know what? I plowed when I was in college. I wouldn't do it for 185.
I wouldn't do it,
It
period.
tears the crap out of your vehicle. It is the
Well-
worst, most severe duty service
Yeah,
you could
because you
subject
gotta
a
know what the
vehicle.
streets are
Yeah.
and what's on the streets so that you don't screw up the.
Even
well,
if,
anyway,
even
we
if you
won't
don't
go
hit
into
anything,
analysis.
it's still, it is, first of all, if you're gonna plow anything more than just a little bit, if you're gonna contract out, you gotta have at least a 3/4 ton truck, and I recommend like a 350 or a full ton. You can't do it with a half ton. 3/4, and you have to get it specially equipped with a snow package, and even then, you still tear the crap out of the vehicle, okay? So $185, that sounds like a lot of money, but you have to understand that that has to compensate the plow driver for his equipment and the wear and tear, and I don't know. I don't think I would do it even for 185. That's my opinion.
Sam, this is yours.
All right. Wait a minute. Glasses. Hold on. Even though they told us it was going to be cold, there were some nuts wearing shorts yesterday. Yes, and they're all UPS drivers, right? Now we know why everyone has to get a flu shot. Yeah, I picked my oldest granddaughter up from school in the afternoon. So last couple of days been pretty chilly, right? With the wind chill, as we were talking about earlier. And these kids are coming out of the building in T-shirts and shorts.
I was amazed. This isn't anything new.
And you say,
Why?
boy, would I like to have their heating system, I mean, it must be great not to be cold all the time, because obviously they're not cold if they're.
Yeah,
Reminds
I
me
have-
of my high school days. I used to hang around in Pawtuckaville with all my Pawtuckaville friends.
Radiant,
They would go over and
Yes.
watch the UMass Lowell kids come out of the building the first snow. And you want to see these kids from China fall down the stairs. I mean, a staircase of 25 steps, falling down and get up laughing about it, how slippery the snow
Oh,
is.
yeah.
They couldn't believe how slippery snow
well,
was.
it is. So this
This one,
is,
Sam?
this is true. Radiant floor heating is the best way to keep warm. So I had, my first house in Chelmsford was a Campanelli Ranch, radiant floor heat, and the house I'm in now was radiant floor heat. And you've seen it in George Ripsom's house, okay? I'll tell you, it is absolutely the best. And it follows the thermal principles of heat rising, and it's just wonderful.
Well, I was trying to talk Glenn into putting heat in the
Yeah.
floor of the three-season porch, and he goes, "It's expensive." I go, "Well, we don't have to have the whole floor.
No.
Just where we might be sitting."
Well, plus you do the one room. But to John's point earlier,
won't do it.
he talked about the heated floor in the bathroom. So one of the options that we had, contractor says, well, he says we can do electric heat in the floor, and I said, and it's a very small area.
Oh,
okay?
yes, I've been in that bathroom.
And so he says, I said, well, okay, well, how much is that? He says, $2,500. I said, forget it. He says, what do you mean? I said, how often are we in the bathroom? So I said, do you have any
Sam,
other?
I'll tell you, for that tinkle at 2 o'clock in the morning with the bare feet, you go like,
But I told you we had
this
that
is
fan in our
nice.
bathroom to
Yeah.
ask him about it.
So I did. So I said, okay. I said, 2,500. I don't think so. I said, are there any other options for generating heat? And then he told us about
This unit.
the fan, which Evelyn had already told me about, so I knew about it. And I said, okay. I said, how much is that? Oh, he says, that's nothing. He says, we'll just include that in the price of the
Yeah,
thing.
because
And-
you're about $100 to $200.
Yeah, and I
we
said,
got
fine.
our first electric floors. We were on a Viking cruise in England, in France, and they heated bathroom floors, and oh my God, beautiful stuff.
Yeah, so we're talking, John, 30 square feet, and he wanted $2,500 for, I said, no, we're not doing it.
Well, what it
Now-
does is it heats the
Yeah.
bathroom, keeps
Yeah.
the bathroom toasty, and
And he might put on a separate
I love
switch.
it. I love it.
You know,
Yeah.
So,
separate.
Sam, you want to read this one?
How are the speed humps going to affect the plowing? It's a problem.
If you
It's
don't
a
know where
problem.
those speed bumps are,
It's a problem.
and you're driving a snowplow, You're in for a big surprise.
Now, in Massachusetts, on the public ways, state law requires signage for bumps, okay? So they have to have a sign.
So for the first time, I went over the speed bumps that's on Mill Road.
Oh, those are brutal.
And
Yeah.
I
Brutal.
realized
Brutal.
where they were, why they were there.
Yeah.
And,
But do we need so many?
well, I don't know. I think there's 3.
We can ask the town manager when he comes in.
Right, but one of the things was I had asked to have a crosswalk
Yes.
put in front of the Mill Stream Foundation, which is 97 and 99 Mill Road.
For those who don't know, it's
It's the site of the first, sawmill
right.
from 1600?
But that particular intersection that she's talking about, the road is not particularly wide, but it's very windy, and it is kind of a dangerous road, so.
But they put them also where the soccer fields are.
Correct.
So
But
Murphy's Field is back in
there's 3
there.
of
I
them.
guess it's called Murphy's Field.
Yeah.
And you have the dam that's at Millstream. But it serves 2 purposes coming from Route 3 area, from that side, from the north side.
Well, you're talking about the road?
I'm talking about the speed bumps. What
Yes,
it does is slows the
Oh, yeah,
traffic down.
definitely.
Because it's blind coming over that rise.
Absolutely.
If anybody's in the street or trying to cross in front of Millstream. And we do have open houses, and we do have people that like to come in and take
Well, I
pictures
think
and events.
I think part of the discussion about the crosswalk was that if you're going to do that, they would put in the speed bumps. I mean, because that's.
She couldn't put in the crosswalk because she said that there's a certain criteria. This is the DPW director. I asked a while back, because that was a question we had on the board. And so she said, we need to have a certain amount of
pedestrian-
visibility.
Oh, visibility?
Yes,
Oh.
there's a certain distance of visibility in order to have that crosswalk.
There's no visibility
And
there.
there's like 0 visibility coming up over the hill from the higher numbers on Mill Road.
That's why they
Now,
put in the speed bumps.
Coming from the back of South Row, you do have line of sight,
Mhm.
but you have very little line of sight in the other direction.
No,
So
there's
she
none.
said you can't do that.
There's none.
And so we asked, but with these speed bumps, at least coming in from the other side of the road, people slow down, have to
They
slow
have to.
down enough,
Those are
or
very,
you're gonna lose the bottom of your car.
those are very aggressive.
Right, and I don't
speed
have a
bumps.
problem with it, only because I understand what the purpose is.
And there's plenty of signage, but of course, you know how it is. People don't pay attention when they're driving.
Right.
So,
So anyway, I had a number of articles. We talked about the weather and that, and which is kind of always interesting. It was something I thought about doing and then decided I wouldn't do that as a career. And
what,
so,
weather forecasting?
yeah, to go into meteorology.
Yeah.
Going into teaching was, for
You were
me,
going to be a
the-
weather guesser?
Oh, I would have loved to have done that. I love that movie Twister, where they're following stuff.
Well, you could teach meteorology. But
Yeah, I could have, but I'm getting a little old for this stuff.
Well, my wife and my sister-in-law are what are referred to as walnuts. These are people who stand at the seawall at Hampton Beach.
Oh, those are stupid people.
That's why they're called walnuts.
I got you, but they are stupid people.
They
What-
have
what do they
complete.
do?
Well, they're standing, if you have a hurricane or anything, they stand at the wall. You
Oh,
can
that's
get swept out to
good.
sea.
Yeah, that's good.
And they have the outfit, the hood, the hurricane rain jacket. They absolutely love it.
So the few articles that I had prior to, after yesterday, that, probably yesterday afternoon and last night and a couple this morning, basically those we'll talk about with Paul Cohen when he comes in
Well,
at
this
7
one about
o'clock.
the fiscal crunch
Yes.
on the towns.
Yep,
yeah.
and we're going to talk about what happened Monday night, and we got vacancies on boards, and what is the process, and all this other stuff. I mean, I got a whole list of things that we can talk about, and if anybody is currently listening out there, now this is repeated on Sunday and Tuesday in Chelmsford, so you really can't call in. But if you have
You
a
can call
text
in right
message,
now.
I know that you can call in now
Look
if
at
you're
the
listening,
screen.
because we're live,
If that's now, call
right? And
or
so,
text.
yes. So so a couple of things. If you have questions, I will put it out there to anybody to let me know on Facebook if you are on Facebook. If not, text 808-8200. And let us know if you would like me to announce somehow or another everybody that's going to be on our program, so that if you have questions concerning Chelmsford and the town manager or the superintendent of schools is on, we'll ask those questions and we can get the answers back to you. So if you have anything, we're open to having that conversation and that. So, but there was a number of things that did generate some other types of conversation that we had. One was that Massachusetts released attendance records for its teachers. And I thought that was kind of interesting, because one of the things when we negotiated contracts, Jay Lang will be in January.
Tell us what they found.
Well, I will just shortly.
Okay.
So we would always, when we were negotiating the teacher contracts, we would ask the questions about, because of substitutes, but you want to know, are they abusing their sick time? Are they abusing their personal time and all this other stuff? And the answers were no, they weren't. So what they did find for this particular year was that the average attendance rate for the 82,453 teachers in Massachusetts was 93.5%.
That's pretty good.
And
Wow.
there was an average of 11.7 absences amongst teachers during the school year. To me, that's a small number.
Wait a minute. Say that again.
But they didn't clarify it. They didn't quantify it.
What does that 11 represent? Is that for one teacher for a calendar year?
I understand that. But it doesn't say that here.
Because that's a lot.
For one person to be
Yeah.
absent.
Yeah.
And now the problem I have is the rest of the article. Crap, the rest of the article doesn't appear. John, does the rest of the article appear for you?
I'm trying to transfer a text.
Yeah,
What do you need?
let me-
Okay, don't worry about it.
I'll check.
Let me see, because let me
check
do it
mine.
again.
What are you beating up the teachers?
Okay, so this is,
Who are we beating up here?
I got it. For some reason, it wasn't coming through.
all right.
Let me
I've got
see.
it. I've got it.
So the lowest administrator attendance rate, that's attendance rate, was Gill Montague Regional School District, serving Gill and Montague and Franklin County with the rate of 86.7%. The three largest cities, Boston, Worcester, and Springfield, their attendance rate was close to the state's average. And so Boston was 93.5%. The teachers had an attendance rate of 94%, administrators 93.1%, and then it talks about Worcester and Springfield. So they're all in that close to 100%.
Yeah, that's good.
That's there. And so it doesn't give a listing per city. And if they have released this, it's got to be on the DESI website.
I think if you read the sentence carefully, there were an average of 11.7 absences among teachers. I think that's average per school per year. That's the way I read that.
Right.
Okay, not
But
that a teacher is out 12 times a year. That's
right,
not what
but
that
when
means.
Jay comes on in January, we can ask him, or I'll get
Did they say what day of the week?
No.
Fridays and Mondays?
No, but when we did the analysis, when I was on the school committee, it wasn't Mondays and Fridays,
Because 1,000 years ago,
because we had penalties for that.
my
when
wife and
had
I
the
were in
contract.
line at the airport, Logan Airport, to go on a trip in school vacation week. And she took Friday off. And she's not supposed to do that.
Because in the contract tells you not to.
Well, they were told, don't take Friday off. Honey, you got like a 6 bazillion sick days. Just take Friday off. We'll fly down to Florida a day early. All right, I'll do it. Who's in line with us? The superintendent of Lowell School and the assistant superintendent
Of course they
Same
are.
flight to Florida.
Of course.
And they walked over to my wife and they says, we're just going to all look the other way.
Well, they're doing it too.
So we
Yeah,
had,
that's
at one
funny.
point, we had penalties, and it was in the contract.
Oh, yes, I
that you
remember
could
that.
not take
Yeah.
the day before or the day after a vacation. Without getting a penalty.
You had to be legitimately sick, okay?
Sam, when you're ready, read this guy.
Every time I just get done cleaning the end of my driveway, here comes the plow driver laughing as he's dumping a big mound of snow back at me. Yes, that's what they do.
Well, there's a trick to that.
They wait at the end of the street and they watch you as you get to the end of your
You
driveway,
have to
and
feel
then
like
they
that's what they do.
then they come at you, right?
When you have a snowplow
Uh,
driver come and plow out your driveway, the up end of wherever the snowplow is gonna come from, tell them to take a bunch of your snow in front of your house and push it in the direction where the snowplow is gonna be coming from. He's gonna come down the street with a full load of snow that's gonna dump in that hole, not in your driveway. Works like a champ.
yeah, I like that. That's funny.
So a
It's
lot
true.
of people also don't realize they're supposed to shovel out their meal boxes.
Well, no, you get so ticked
And
off.
fire
and
hydrants.
As a plow driver, I realized all you gotta do is tell a plow driver, put a dent in the snowbank, it'll all go in that dent.
Right, well, we don't have a plow driver, but we also try to
Well, then put a
plow
dent
a lot.
in your snowbank.
My driveway isn't big enough to justify a snowplow.
No, neither is ours.
We can do it easily with
We
a
have too many
snowblower.
cars.
Well, that's true. Well,
have
that's
too
one
many
way
Our
of doing it.
driveway's too big to shovel.
Your driveway.
Oh, well,
You guys-
obviously,
You guys just parked in my driveway.
yeah.
We have too much hot tub.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
you can't.
You can't do it.
No,
You
you've
just-
got to
it'll
plow.
be
You don't have a
forever.
choice.
But it was funny because we went out to lunch yesterday,
Oh, okay.
And-
And I missed it, sorry, because
and you didn't miss much.
I was taking care of grandchildren.
And we were talking about all the stuff with the snow and snow plows and doing all kinds of stuff. So we had some interesting conversation at the table with regard to this particular topic.
But your interesting conversation wasn't about the food.
No, well, there was no interesting. Did you want to do an analysis the first
Yeah,
hour
I'm
and
trying to put the
analysis the
pictures back
second?
up now.
Yeah,
Throw
so.
up the food pictures.
So what we've been doing with John is we have been going to the different senior centers and to evaluate their lunches. We were also checking out the buildings and other programs and seeing what's out there because a lot of the demographics of those who are watching this program are in our age bracket. You're over 60.
Or older.
Well, you're over 60. It's
Right.
easy. So they do have a 60 cutoff, and if you're younger than that, you have to pay more for whatever it is. Some places you have to call for reservations so that they can actually have the right number of meals because they do not cook on the premises. They just reheat.
Mhm.
And we'll put reheat in quotes.
Do we know who the vendors are, the food vendors for these places?
Meals on Wheels and
Meals
two of
on
these.
Wheels, okay.
So,
And
what
they
you-
all use the same milk.
Yeah, they all use the same milk. So as we go across these four pictures,
Now, which was to your taste buds, Ev, which is the loser?
The loser?
oh, the loser was yesterday. It was like, really?
Okay, so
I felt
this-
like I was back in
yesterday was the loser.
grade
okay.
school.
And in third place,
Third place, I don't know. I didn't like the beef. I didn't care too much for the one in the upper right-hand corner.
and
That was
second
Drake.
place,
And second, well, it's a toss-up for me because I loved the salad and the chicken in Chelmsford. They had a good amount
because
of
she was in
portion.
Chelmsford, I shouldn't have labeled it.
And in Lowell, because we waited, it wasn't what they had advertised, but the chicken cutlet was perfect.
Oh, that was out of this world.
Yeah, that was really good.
Yeah.
But Chelmsford wasn't bad either. So
See,
to me, it depends.
Lowell doesn't get a 1 because it's not Chelmsford.
No, I
liked Lowell,
I
and I thought
Yeah.
they served you. And
Well, it's worth exactly $2.
yeah,
It's
well,
worth exactly what you're paying. I think they should put it up to $4 and have decent food.
well, I think
I
that
thought the
each
Lowell
of the
food was good, yeah.
yeah, I thought Lowell and Chelmsford were good. I didn't
Yeah.
particularly.
Well, Lowell, we had an emergency. That was an emergency makeup. I think it came out of the freezer
Well, what
Yeah.
was
because of its
advertised?
presentation.
Yeah,
They
what
had too
was-
many people eating lunch that day. at
What was
Lowell.
advertised? Do you remember?
Well, it wasn't what
It wasn't
you
the
saw
cutlet,
there.
no, but it was something,
But everything else was advertised as
Yep.
it said. Now,
it was chicken
so
something.
when the upper right-hand corner was Drake It, and that was Meals on Wheels.
That looks like a large portion.
It is, but they advertised soy garlic, and we knew it was soy because John's allergic to it.
Uh-oh.
But it didn't taste like soy and garlic because I cook with soy and garlic. And that was rice. That rice wasn't too bad.
Drake, it was delicious. To my taste buds, Drake, it was delicious.
What about, is that broccoli in the middle?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
And then they had,
Lowell was delicious. Chelmsford, I'll give you the salad. It was a great salad.
oh, I love the salad.
But Lowell's salad was crisp and fresh.
Yes.
Yeah, but I like,
This
I
was-
like a wet salad, so, I
This
mean,
was a wet
it's
salad,
yeah.
a day or two old.
Well, I don't know about that, but it's personal preference. And they served.
This chicken on rice was tasteless.
Tasteless?
It was
Well, the
like
chicken was fine,
eating
but the rice
plastic.
there was no taste to it, and there's no salt. The rice, you didn't eat the rice yesterday, but the rice was fine. In fact, the rice was almost cooked perfectly.
The Swiss meatballs
Oh,
in
if they-
magic sauce.
yeah.
That sauce looks awful.
Well, it wasn't too bad, but you had to add salt.
It wasn't
First of all,
awful, but
well, first of all, if it's meatballs, well, of course, I probably shouldn't say anything because I don't know much about Swedish, but to me, the gravy should be darker. That's beef. It's not chicken, okay?
Right, but with that could have been chicken meatballs instead of.
well, the surprise yesterday to
beef.
me
It's
was,
cheaper.
besides the three of us having lunch, there was one other person in Tewksbury eating there.
Well,
What?
yes,
There
but
was
I
only
looked in-
4 people there?
Well, there were 4 initially, but it looked to me like another 3 or 4 joined them. It was the
Wow.
least amount of people that attended.
Yep.
Okay.
Wow. What time did you go?
Oh, we went the same time every time. We
11:20.
were there at 11 o'clock, and at 11:30 roughly, this is what it was, and by 12 o'clock, you would have a larger group of people. So, when we went to, Chelmsford was the first place, senior center.
So crowd-wise,
Lowell was the biggest,
Tewksbury was the smallest.
then Drake.
Chelmsford was small.
Yes, but it was bigger than
Chelmsford
Drake.
was small. Drake had a bigger crowd, I think, than Chelmsford did.
So,
I
you're not
You
having a
think
sh-
about tied.
you're
Yeah,
not
it's
having-
close.
You're not
All right.
having a show. you're
Lowell had like 60, 80 people.
Oh, yeah, Lowell was bigger, but it's also a city, and you would
Well,
expect
they
to have
ran
more
out of
people.
food.
Yeah, but,
Right.
but
And it was yummy.
so if they advertised Swedish meatballs in Tewksbury yesterday,
Wow.
and of course, if they had Swedish meatballs in Tewksbury and it's Meals on Wheels, they had Swedish meatballs in Drake. And it wasn't Swedish meatballs because there was no ginger in it. And
What did
among
they-
other spices and flavors, because I made Swedish meatballs.
Was there any taste to it at all?
Not much. I had to add salt and pepper to it. And I'm not into having the green beans the way they were.
How were they not?
They were
cooked?
crisp.
Yeah.
They were cooked. I told you that the rice was fine. I
I-
thought the rice was fine.
I'm
It
not
was
into- I'm-
was not gummy.
I'm not into crisp vegetables. I like them to be cooked.
Well, to me the broccoli was overcooked, but that's how broccoli is.
Yeah, that's fine.
And each of not
And on the
what you see for Lowell, that's what you got.
I
Is
just
that-
wanted you guys to see there's milk everywhere.
is that it's the same milk.
Yes.
Now in the upper right, is that thing that looks like a hamburger bun? Is that a roll?
Yes.
Okay.
I have a suspicion these are all Meals on Wheels,
Yeah.
dropped off, already cooked,
Could be.
and they just microwave them.
Well, it wasn't in Chelmsford because it wasn't in Lowell.
Chelmsford does their own cooking,
But
I think.
the milk is making me suspicious.
Yeah, it's all the same milk. Well, it's government
It's government subsidized.
government endorsed
And the same
milk,
thing
right.
with your fruits. Your fruits were always in the same packaging. But you had something different in Lowell, and in Chelmsford it was something different.
right,
But we
so-
only have gone there once, and I told John we have to go
We'll do
again.
round 2.
Yeah,
We'll do
right.
round 2.
You got to give them another chance.
And we have to see.
Give 'em another
And
chance.
maybe it's just something that we do.
And maybe go on a different day.
Well, what I want to do is pick the same meal. I want to
Oh,
find the
okay.
same meal.
No,
All right.
I want to go a different day.
Well, I want the same meal, and the same meal isn't always on the same day.
They're going to make it the same way.
Well, that's true.
Well, in Chelmsford, I told
Okay,
when we
now-
first
now-
did Chelmsford, I
Yeah,
told you
this
how that was
morning,
made.
this morning you gave me this big gigantic piece of, I think it's chocolate cake. Like a chocolate cake here.
Looks like a brownie.
It's a brownie with chocolate.
Okay.
And it's all dark
There's
chocolate.
2 brownies in. I just saw there's 2 brownies in here. Okay. Do you make brownies different every time?
No,
Okay. That's why I'm saying that if we go back for the same grub,
Well, actually,
but everything else I make
Wait a
wait a
different.
minute. That's not true. Because
make
it
your brownies
depends-
different?
It depends on what she's got left over for stuff, and she'll say, "Well, why don't I take this out and substitute that?" So yeah, she does kind of make them different every time.
There's bunny rabbits in this one. Yep. Okay.
There's walnuts in that one,
Yeah.
and I didn't put walnuts in the other
So,
ones.
so you're not having a show Thursday next week. Obviously, it's Thanksgiving. So
Thursday
here-
or Friday.
So, okay, so here's what I'm gonna do. So today, right after this show, I'm going to the Chelmsford Veterans breakfast, okay, which I don't usually.
Oh, take pictures.
That's what I'm going to say.
Excellent.
Because I've been, I don't usually go because I do this show and, it's kind of a, but anyway, they're having a special thing and the veterans agent asked me if I would go, so I said, yeah, I'll go. And I think Paul's going to go too. But anyway, so what I'll do, and their breakfast, the veterans' breakfast is really good.
Sam.
It's good. I
Sam.
will take pictures of the veterans' breakfast, and we'll talk about that.
Mark Crapman usually puts
Okay.
an egg, he puts together this breakfast over at the senior center. Out of this world. It's nothing like we had yesterday. Cooked right there, sausage, bacon, eggs,
Well, that's
English, toast, out of this world.
That's what the veterans' breakfast is. They have all of that, plus they have baked beans, which I love, right?
Oh.
And so I'll photograph that this morning.
You'll have to
and-
give me a list of what you like to eat,
Well-
more of the stuff you like to eat, so we can have different dinners.
Well, Candy and I make our own baked beans.
Yeah, but mine will kill you
Good.
if I make them because of the. Just generally speaking, so what I usually do is just take the regular baked beans in a can and I doctor them up.
No,
Because they're softer. When I do baked beans, my digestive system is like, what are you doing to
Well,
me?
it does react.
So it's, yes.
No, we do the old thing. We soak the beans for 48 hours.
Oh,
and-
yeah, but it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, it doesn't work for me.
We do the whole thing. The only thing we don't do is we do not. The recipe calls for Worcestershire sauce,
Oh, I don't put that in.
and we don't put that in because it makes it too salty. And
Do you use salt pork?
yes,
Okay.
yes,
I use bacon.
Yeah.
So that's.
yeah. We've done that too. We've done that, but it's better with and you can get the salt pork from Market Basket. You get them in these little chunks, and you can throw them in there. Oh, it's
That
good.
brings back a lot of memory.
Yeah, my mother used to do it. She used to do it in the oven. She had this big pot, and it would take her 4 days to do baked beans because they tell you the recipe says soak them overnight. You have to soak them 2 nights. They have to be soaked for 48 hours. Otherwise, they're too hard. And it's really good if it's done properly. Although I have no problem with the. She does get the canned beans on occasion, and she gets Bush's beans, and those are very.
I like those.
Yeah, those are very good.
And some of those are really, really neat because they've
Yeah.
got all kinds of different sauces. So one of the other articles, because we're out of time, some retarees face a survivor's penalty after a spouse dies. Here's how to avoid it.
Yeah.
So
The
there's
filing status changes.
yes. I hadn't even thought about this.
Oh yeah, it makes a big difference.
But anyway, this is a CNBC article.
Yep.
So if anybody's interested in all of the details with regard to that, then you can take a look at that. And basically, it deals with your 401ks and the IRAs and anything else where you would have to take distributions. And the distributions will be taxed. And if you are single, then and not married, then you don't have the other deduction, so your taxes will be higher. And it may put you in a different income tax bracket, so
Yep.
it's interesting.
All of
Okay.
that's true.
Look like some sad dishes of food, but what do you expect for $2? Yeah, well, that's what our attitude was. Instead of showing the lunches, you should be showing Evelyn's brownie on the
Well, he did.
screen.
He held
and
it
he
up.
did.
Yeah.
If you don't clear out your mailbox, the carrier doesn't have to deliver your mail. That's correct.
Yeah.
The top pictures of the food washable trays and the bottom ones throwaway. Yeah, we had
I think
trays.
Since COVID, everything's throwaway.
They're all plastic, right?
Except in Chelmsford, we had a regular tray, like when you used to do cafeteria.
You had Chelmsford.
You
had
got a tray and
reusable
went up
stuff.
and got the food, and they had the what do you want to call it? You wouldn't call them trays. You had the bins, that they scoop out the food
They
and
probably
they had it
get.
heated
They probably
underneath.
get those. They probably get those from the school system. I would guess. Probably,
I don't know. We can
Yeah.
certainly find out in Chelmsford, but I thought that Chelmsford's and Lowell's were different enough that you would
Oh,
say
yeah.
that they had.
Well, Lowell
something
was again. That was not the advertised dinner. We got the substitute dinner because they ran out of food. So all the more kudos to Lowell because they had to
backup.
scramble at the end. They had backup, and it was good. Okay, so
Lowell, I go back to anytime.
I give them 4 stars.
I've been to Lowell probably like a
Yeah.
half dozen times.
I give
Never
them
had a
4
bad
stars.
meal.
Yeah,
The stuffed peppers,
Yeah. And you can't screw up an apple.
and
right?
the stuffed cabbage, delicious.
The only thing I would fault Lowell for, if I were going to fault them, is it may not have been enough food for some people, okay? But other than that, it was, although if you ate the apple, see, I didn't eat the apple. If you ate the apple,
Well,
apples
that would be enough.
are very filling, so maybe that's part of the psychology there. Yeah, I don't know.
Right, but when we take
Yeah.
a look at an analysis, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know if anywhere there is a ingredients list. But to me, there was like no salt on some of them.
Well, they probably do that on purpose.
Right, but there was, there had to have been salt in Drake It.
I didn't
on
see
the
any,
beef,
there wasn't
because you
any.
had soy.
So just a friendly reminder, this is
Yeah.
Tewksbury.
Yeah.
Yesterday. This is Drake It a couple of weeks ago. And
That-
this is Lowell 4 weeks ago. And this is Chelmsford, which was our first stop.
Right.
And the Drake It looks like they gave you the most quantity. Now, what's that dish? It looks like something
And
beef.
in Chelmsford,
It was.
they have, you have to purchase a ticket. It's not a, your takeaway, was there a donation to get a ticket?
Yes, there was a box you put money in.
Why do you have to have a ticket?
You need a ticket to get lunch.
So okay, so
You
you
walk
go,
in, you fork over your $2 and they give you a
and they
ticket.
give you a ticket.
No, that wasn't Chelmsford, because we put the money in a box.
Where'd you get the ticket?
That doesn't make sense.
I don't know. I didn't remember a ticket anywhere. The Drake and
Okay, so-
Tewksbury you had to have at least a week in
They
advance.
give you a ticket.
And in Drake It, when you took a look at how many
Now,
meals they
Drake
had,
It-
there were minimum.
Drake It, I called in the reservation, which is this. Says there's 4 of us coming, and my name was not on the list. So thank God Sam banged out that day. I ate Sam's lunch.
Good.
So this is a picture of Sam's lunch that day.
Did you need a reservation in Chelmsford or
No.
not? Okay, you just
But-
looking.
But,
They recommend that.
They recommend
Yes.
it, but they won't turn you away if you don't have one.
yeah, so and that's why you can see that it's not
If
prepackaged.
you have a big crowd, they'll turn you away.
Yeah,
Now, Tewksbury,
you have to check with
So
Chelmsford.
get there
the girl was on vacation and blah, 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 blah. You gotta have a reservation in Tewksbury. If you don't have a reservation, you're not getting any food.
And if you're not on a list in Drake It, you weren't going to get it either, because she had a list.
Oh, yeah, she had Gestapo list. What's
Yeah.
your name?
Yes.
She's funny.
Yeah. And Lowell, you just walk in.
Yeah.
And Lowell, just there's a box in there. If you want to put money in, fine. If you don't want to put money in, that's fine too.
Right, and some of them had other types of boxes.
And this is Lowell, but $2, not bad.
I mean, what do you want for $2?
You can't get much today for $2.
No, but you can see the
And
differences.
we'll do it again in January.
Yeah, because we're running out of Wednesdays. Although we could take a look to begin at some point if I have a Wednesday. Because I never know what my schedule's gonna be like. So we'll figure that out later. So we're expecting Paul Cohen a little bit before 7. He'll join us,
Yeah,
obviously.
he usually gets here.
And like I said, we had different kinds of, I had different kinds of articles. We're gonna talk a lot more about what happened at the Board of Selectmen's meeting Monday night. There's some different headlines out there. So we'll talk about tax classification.
Is the door locked or not locked?
I didn't lock it.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
I understand.
I was on the phone. So I have an opportunity to talk to my sister in Florida when I come in on Thursday morning.
You have
She
an
gets up at 3
opportunity
o'clock.
24 hours a day to talk to your sister. Were you
No.
talking to her yesterday when you came to the senior center? Because Glenn was saying, who was she talking to? I said, likely her sister.
I don't know if I was talking to her as I pulled in. I know I talked to Sam on the way up.
Yes, you did.
And there was different other things that I try to cover because I wear different hats. Anyway, so we'll see if there's any snow. If I go to New Hampshire, I'll take pictures.
How much snow did you get?
It was just a dusting.
Okay.
Mount Washington looked beautiful.
Oh, yeah, they got a ton
Oh, do you
of
have
snow.
pictures of Mount Washington? Do
No,
they
it
have
was on I saw it on the news.
They had it on Channel 5.
Okay.
Yeah. it
Yeah, but
was-
see, I don't watch
They
much
got
television.
they got quite a bit of snow.
I'll see if I get some from Google.
Well, you want snow for the ski operators.
Right, well, see, when we were driving around Monday in New Hampshire, Glenn goes, Jesus, like no traffic. I said, well, we're in between seasons.
Yeah.
You're in between where people go boating
And
on
it's a
Winnipesaukee, and skiing at Gunstock or whatever it is that's up there, wherever you go. And some people even like to hike in the snow, but you got to be careful about that because slipping on rocks.
That's
So
dangerous.
there's a lot of opportunity for outside events, but they change. So in the summertime, if you drive back, Sunday afternoons are heavy-duty traffic from 3 o'clock on. In the wintertime, it's the same situation, and the same situation going north. So it just depends on which way you're going, whether you're going to go up 93, you're going to go up 95.
It's kind of an interesting thing when you think about it, because we always hear, and it really doesn't matter what the truth of the matter is. They're always telling you how bad the economy is. I mean, even if the economy's good, they tell you how bad it is. And you listen to this, and then
it's Trump's fault.
and it's whoever's in office, it's their fault, right? So I listen to these reports, and then I look at all the traffic on the road, people going up to New Hampshire to ski, and then I look at all the restaurants that are full, and I'm saying, well, maybe
better than what it was.
It seems to be, at least around here, it doesn't seem to be that bad. So before we go, can I take a second, and I'm going to do something I don't usually do. I want to plug my show for a minute, because this afternoon I will be taping at Chelmsford Telemedia. I'll be taping a show on the Salvation Army Radiothon.
Oh, nice.
That will be held. They do this every year. Warren Shaw, Paul Belly, and a bunch of people. And it goes all the way back to Fred Simon. I hope we're going to talk a little about Fred, because he was a wonderful guy. And we'll be taping a show on and promoting this year's Salvation Army Radiothon. And they do an awful lot of good. They raise an awful lot of money. And so we'll be talking about that. And that will be repeated. Probably this is a good time to do it, because it'll be out there for 2 weeks before they have the actual radiothon. So just FYI for folks, that will be worth watching.
So there was, last week, we had Vivian
This is Mount
Marilyn.
Washington 4 days ago.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah, that's the shot they had on Channel 5.
I just did that.
Oh, you
It's
did?
coming at the speed of government
What are
here.
What are you sending me?
Another article.
We're going to look at their ad first. Of course, before you look at it, we're going to show you an ad.
3 feet of snow.
This
huh?
is the top of Mount Washington. Yep, they're there having a wonderful time.
Not today.
So much for the hunting community.
Oh,
So they got a lot of snow up the top
they
of
were
Mount
building
Washington.
snow structures.
Sorry, I should have previewed that. Not supposed to put ads out there. We were not compensated for that ad.
Boy,
So
I wish
they
I
got a
could.
lot of snow up the top of Mount
I
Washington.
wish I could move that fast.
This is interesting. Oops.
Oh, here comes Mr. Cohen.
Yes.
Right on time. Look at that. Very reliable.
Morning,
yeah.
Paul.
Good morning, Paul.
So
There's
what was
coffee
the
over there if you like. Make
what was
yourself
the
at home.
temperature in Harvard this morning?
Probably 25 degrees.
Oh, that was about what we were, was 25. Yes, it was cold. There was frost in my car.
Oh, yes.
Last week, we had Vivian Merrill on. I'm sure you have the advertisements for the holiday prelude that she's been working on.
Mhm.
She said this is her last year, so
Yep.
if anybody's out there in Chelmsford that would like to take over her position, please would we let Paul know?
Yes.
And if you want to do the holiday prelude and that, but you also have some contact information for Vivian. One of the things that we also talked about was how to get rid of mice, or how to keep mice from getting into your house, and we went through a whole lot of lists.
Get a cat.
Well, I had a cat and I still had mice, so it depends on your cat.
Your cat was not on the job.
Doesn't matter. They didn't come in the main house. They were in the garage, and I didn't let the cats in the garage because there's other issues out there. So, and the mice chewed through the weather stripping that was on the garage door. They did that to my son's house too. But I had cloves, ground cloves, and I had ground cinnamon, and I have not had that many mice in my garage in comparison to past years. You can do peppermint, but it dissipates quickly. One of the other things, and I'm going to forward the articles to Vivian because she has a lot of mice, is aluminum foil. So if you have the aluminum foil near their entry points, if you know where they are, they happen not to like slippery surfaces. So when they touch them, apparently it's a slippery surface. I have never used aluminum foil, so maybe I will try that and see what occurs.
Put a little WD-40 on it.
Well, I
Or
just
a
want to
little
use
Vaseline.
Well, they'll stick. And we already have the sticky trap
Yeah.
things because I'm not into some of this stuff. My husband is.
I still say get a cat. When we had our 2 cats, we had no mice. We got rid of the cats died, we got mice.
Well,
Well, we had outdoor cats. So
Right.
That's the difference.
and they did hunt. I didn't. The only cats that I had were outdoor cats that would catch mice, and they would bring them and drop them because I fed them. This was the reward they gave me.
That's
A
fine.
very effective electronic mouse trap, $35 over at Home Depot or Lowe's, and bang.
The other thing that will work is if you have a bucket of water. There's issues with that. You can drown them. The advantage to that is when you drown them, if you throw them outside, something will eat them and they won't get sick. So
No.
there's a whole lot of interesting things. And
$1.49 at Lowe's. Snap, that's what I use.
Coming up to 7 o'clock, we're
We'll
going
be
to take a
back.
short break and we'll be back. Welcome back to City Life. I'm Evelyn Thoren. I'm your host until a little bit before 8 o'clock. And we have Sam Chase as my co-host. And we wish Bob Hoey well, and we're still praying for his speedy recovery so that maybe he will be able to join us again on City Life, even if it is just as our guest, or if he wants to come on just for 30 minutes. That's at his discretion. We have John McDonough behind the camera, sometimes on the camera. You can hear his voice in the background, directing everything that's going on here. And we have Paul Cohen, Chelmsford Town Manager, as our guest this morning. Welcome.
Good morning.
And we want to thank him very much for coming in. There's a lot of wealth of information that he has and a lot of questions that I'm sure we have, so that you can also gain some understanding and information as what's going on in Chelmsford. But you also know a lot of stuff that's going on in Massachusetts, so we'll see the extent of your knowledge base today. So, even I watched Monday night's Board of Selectmen meeting. We weren't in the state, but we watched it. It was streaming, and because we knew that Sam was going to do the tax classification piece and the assessment and all the stuff in the town. We'll get to that in a minute. And because Glenn was on that committee with him, and he was on the original committee, and so we do have an interest with regard to that topic. But the front page of the Lowell Sun had a picture of one of your members of your select board yesterday. I know that John has that he can put up on the screen because he sent it to me. And so if you want to tell us a little bit about what's going on with regard to the latest piece of news.
Yeah, following the meeting, Select Board Chair Erin Drew notified the other board members that for personal reasons she had to step down. It appears that she may be moving out of the community, and she just really couldn't devote the effort and focus that the job required. And her term was ending in April, and she loved the job.
Yes.
And she really did. And she enjoyed being a select board. It was a collegial board.
Good chair.
Good chair. And it pained her to give up the seat, but she had to do what was best for herself and her family. And as Sam knows, and you know, Evelyn, serving these positions, it requires a tremendous amount of focus and attention, and she just felt that she couldn't, do it, the appropriate responsibility to the position that was there. And as I mentioned, and she mentioned in her story, she may be relocating from the town. So she just felt that this time it was just best to step away because, as you noted in your comments, the board is at a busy period now where we're dealing with budgetary matters, Springtown meeting warrants coming up, and it is a busy season as we head into the holidays. So unlike the state legislature that goes on a recess, for informal sessions, in municipal government is actually a very busy time.
And there are those that would argue we're better off when the legislature is on recess. But
that's a whole different topic.
Yeah, so that's the story in yesterday's Sun. So Paul, explain to us now what happens and what the options are. So we have a vacant seat, and you said that her term is up, would have been up on the first week of April anyway, so we're looking at what, 4.5 months? Right?
Yeah. The town bylaws prescribe that the town election is the first Tuesday in April, which this year is April 6th, April 7th, 2026. What state law prescribes is that if a vacancy arises in the select board within 100 days of the election, there's no election to fill a vacancy. What practicality is that there likely will not be election to fill the vacancy, because as we're now approaching December, you really wouldn't have an election until late January or February, and at that point you're serving for a couple months. And meanwhile, nomination papers for the April town election come out the first Monday in January, which is coming up real soon.
Right.
And so it wouldn't serve the community well to incur the expense of an election. Because whether there's one person on the ballot for a special election or a full ballot, it's the same expense in terms of
I think you're looking at
preparation, election workers.
You're looking at about 25,000.
Exactly. So,
yeah.
And we've had this, unfortunately, we've had this incident in recent past with Emily Antool, Mark Carrata,
Sean
Scanlon. So I don't anticipate, and why I use the word don't anticipate is an election can only be called by the select board, which I haven't been asked to put anything on the draft agenda for the next meeting to do so. And the other way to do it would be to petition it by 200 residents, and I've not heard of any effort to do that.
No, because
again,
she only has 4 months.
Why would you elect somebody for what really would be a couple of months by the time you get the person seated, and then as that election is running, and you then have nomination papers for the April 7th election.
No, it would be, and the last time was Mark Carrata, and the gap was much larger than the 4 months. Right, so.
And also, it's not as though the board is fractured, so it's like, nothing is going to happen over the next 4 months. I mean,
they seem to be working together fairly well in comparison to past boards. So you have that.
What are we paying this selectman in?
They don't receive a stipend or salary.
We're paying them zippity-doo-dah.
Yes, and it's
With this
that
be a
way-
good time to, I know it's been this way since we had
About 15
pirates
plus-
in town, but
2008,
but, yeah.
they eliminated, the
17
2000,
years.
what's it gonna
2000
take, what's it gonna take to reconsider paying?
forget it, it's never happening.
It would take a vote at town meeting to provide a
Somebody has to put a
compensation.
warrant out.
Never happened.
And the reason it happened was at the time it was a question about benefits.
Yep.
And at that time, the state law said that if you're compensated, then you were entitled to benefits, namely health insurance.
Even $1.
Even $1. They've since raised that, I believe, to
Who's the they?
5,000. The state
The state.
legislature.
Okay.
State legislature since raised that, but it hasn't returned. Because the question becomes, where do you draw the line? At one point, the select board.
I know we have all kinds of excuses not to pay our elected officials,
Right.
but I will maintain, you get what you pay for. If this gal was making 15 or 20 grand a year as a select woman,
I still don't think
she would have
do it.
stayed.
I don't think so. Because you're not going to support
That's just my
yourself and
guess.
your family for $15,000.
No, but as a chunk of your salary, do you want a $15,000 cut in your pay?
I don't think that's what was driving her.
No,
in this
I don't
case.
think
It
so
wasn't as
either.
though, I can't take the time away from,
She has to be able to afford to live in
Okay,
Chelmsford.
very intelligent people at the table just ignoring $15,000.
I'm not,
not ignoring it, but it's not a determining factor. And the question, John, is where do you draw the line? Is it select board? Is it select board and school committee? Is it select board planning board, school committee? Is it board of health?
It's
Select board, school committee?
whoever
Is it-
works, well, every fireman's
It's
getting
library
paid.
trustees.
Everybody at the DPW is getting
But
paid.
that's their
Everybody at the
profession.
police department's getting paid.
Right, but
Everybody in
that's their-
town hall's getting paid.
and they're working
And
24/7
they're working
roughly.
Well, when are you not a selectman? What time of day are you not a selectman?
But the selectman isn't to run the day-to-day or operate day-to-day the operations of the town. Their job is to be an advisory board to set policy and
Right.
direction. for
We can
the
go
town.
round and round, but I'd like to bring it up. Thank you. We
Yeah.
can turn the
He
page.
brings it up often.
Because that question, what's the value of the compensation for that? And why was
So
only
let's just-
15,000?
let's
Why
just-
not?
let's
Why not
ju-
50,000?
My answer is, do a study of the state of New Hampshire and Massachusetts and say, okay, how much does selectmen get paid? Who's the highest paid Oh, the highest paid selectmen are Thorenville, and
No,
then
it's
it's making
probably
$150,000 a year.
City,
Cambridge, Boston.
Well, let's
I
look at
think
it.
that we had, just as an aside on salaries or stipends,
Somebody who's on the cemetery commission in Boston, what do they get paid?
when we did the
I know what they get paid in
Day on the
Chelmsford.
Hill, which was the Mass Association of School Committee lobbying efforts, and we had, you would have loved the layout of food that they had when we did that, but we would then kind of network with other school committee members and or superintendents. And of course, the first question is, do you get paid? We did the survey, as far as school committee goes,
Some do.
of many of the people, and a lot of them do, most of them do. But you have the smaller communities that they don't.
See, only rich people are on boards.
But what shocked us was how much Cambridge got. I mean, they were up into the $30,000 range
At
here.
the time.
What, for city
At-
council or
No,
s-
school committee. And that wasn't, I didn't know
Wow.
city council.
That was
because
20 years
I
ago.
wasn't one of those. Well, not necessarily 20, that was 10.
Okay,
I've been out 10. And
it's now
so,
worth 30,000.
well, anyway, I'm just saying that some of them do have a base to be able to have that. But that also segues into an article I had earlier. We've talked about this before, and it has to do with cities and town budgets. And there was an article on why there's so many cities and towns having problems meeting their budgets. Is it because of something going on in the state? And the governor tells us, which we already know if we're involved, is that we do get Chapter 70 money, we get Chapter 90 money. I mean, there's a whole lot of different things, but the cost of living and among other
At
things.
2005 levels, we get it.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
they don't have it current. And one of the comments she made later had to do with the millionaire's tax and some of the stuff they're using it for, but I was of the impression that there were conditions with regard to that, and it was education. That's what's sold.
And transportation.
Okay, so she has the transportation one that was in the article. I'll have to send it to you. But, I mean, the bottom line is that whoever was doing the article, they say, well, maybe there's mismanagement in the cities and towns. But you know more about the budgets, you do the MMA thing and all of that stuff. So can you give us just an overview of like what condition Chelmsford is in and what you may know about maybe some other communities.
The simple word is inflation. Proposition 2.5 limits the growth of the property tax base to 2.5%, regardless of the level of inflation. And for the last generation plus, inflation has been at or below, roughly, if you look over it annually, at 2% level. Now, coming out of the pandemic, the last 3 or 4 years, you've had inflation of 7%, 3.9%, over 3%, and still at 3% levels if you follow what the Fed's doing and the political discussions in Washington. And that's the problem, is a simple math problem. That's just the overall issue. The problem for municipalities is the biggest challenge, and you're hearing about it in other levels, is healthcare inflation. We are seeing double-digit increases now for the third year in a row. And double-digit meaning not just 10%. This current year was 18.8%. This upcoming year, we believe it's going to be 13%. And healthcare and benefits is the second largest budget factor in our budget and for most cities and towns behind schools. And why that is because the schools use benefits, and therefore that benefit number includes the health insurance and pension obligations for school employees as well as general government employees.
And their spouses.
So it's a general math problem. And not to mention that we have a pension assessment that's over 6.5%. You have construction costs that are running above inflation. Vehicles, same thing. When you go and buy a used car and you see the ridiculous run up in the cost of new cars, that affects municipal vehicle purchases, whether it's for a police sedan or for something as a fire truck. The escalation of what I call market providers is driving this. Meaning, there's only a few companies in the country that provide fire apparatus. There's very few companies, as you may recall, Evelyn, that provide school bus transportation, and so therefore they control the market, and therefore their increases are above inflation, and that's what's happening in the healthcare industry. You have concentration of providers, you have concentration of insurers, and then you have a public or users of healthcare that are demanding the services, whether it's prescription drugs or medical services. Our technology is so sophisticated, but it's also very expensive. These research drugs, these weight loss drugs, and so forth. So we become a victim of the realities, and that's the issue of what's happening in cities and towns. And where it goes to the state is the Mass Municipal Association did a study with Tufts University, so it wasn't just a couple people in some Boston office. It was with the professional educational resources of Tufts University, and as Sam mentioned, the level of unrestricted general government aid to the towns is less than not accounting for inflation is less than it was in 2005, and the issue of Chapter 70 education aid has been helpful with the millionaire's tax or the fair share tax, however you want to brand it. The problem with that has been they've tended to do that to add services, not maintain the basic Chapter 70 educational services.
And we don't have enough millionaires.
And we don't. Yeah, well, it's not so much that is that they're performing things such as free school lunch, free community college, all very notable and beneficial aspects in some respects.
Right, but they added expenses. It's like the one-time money.
But it's not free.
But it's not free, and also it also undermines the traditional level of support. Right now, it's costing up to $20,000 per student to educate a child, and I think in the Boston schools it's much higher than that. And in New York City it's over $30,000, but again, that's out of state. And so if you don't have the revenue sharing from the state, in our case, our budget's only funded about 14% from the state, 78% from the property tax.
Right.
So if your 78% of your revenues are constrained by 2.5%, then you've got a mathematical problem and a services problem. And the other sad part is it's not a bump in the road, it's a trend, and there's really little in the construction or development pipeline that you can say, oh, well, you'll have these jobs created, this property value enhanced. Very little out there because the economy is slowing down, and therefore it doesn't bode well for cities and towns moving forward. And so the legislature has been reluctant to provide local option revenue sources to cities and towns. Like, could towns increase their meals tax? Could they increase their hotel tax? So far, the legislature said, no, we're not going to give towns that option to do it. And since in Massachusetts, cities and towns exist and are regulated by the state, there's very little that the city and town can do other than to raise the property tax. And that is the most unpopular tax in the community because it's not tied to one's income, it's tied to one's property value.
Right.
So the other-
even if your property value goes up, as you know, it doesn't mean you can tax more, it just means that your rate goes down to compensate the change in property value.
Yeah, there's a balance that's there that has to be maintained.
Mm-hmm.
But there also is a bill that, I don't know who it is, that I don't recall who's proposing it. It was one of the other articles, I didn't send it. As far as the excise tax goes,
Mm-hmm.
they're looking at having it so that they can raise the excise tax.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I would assume, if you can let me know what you know about that, but it's kind of like what the meals tax and the hotel tax did, was that the town meeting in Chelmsford had to approve to allow that to happen within the town limits, and anything that we have now comes to the, as a revenue
But
source.
that's local option.
That's local option.
The excise tax
Right.
is a state program.
Right, but they did propose allowing an increase in the motor vehicle excise tax.
Yes.
Which, as you know, Sam, hasn't been adjusted.
Nope.
Since
Prop 2.5.
Prop 2.5. And so what that does is, it's based on the manufactured suggested retail price of a vehicle, but the depreciation schedule hasn't been adjusted to reflect the reality.
And
of
it's
the value of
too
the vehicle.
aggressive. The depreciation is too aggressive.
I don't mind, because I own a lot of
Oh,
vehicles.
no, if you
Right,
have
but
cars.
if you
it's
own an
fine.
over the vehicle, you're paying like minimal tax.
Yeah,
It's
and
under
that's
$100.
correct.
This is why I have old cars.
And
Yes.
you're lucky you're getting it.
Hmm?
The government
be
doesn't
lucky.
realize how lucky they
Yeah,
are
but
getting
the
it.
biggest thing we get though, John, is that the biggest thing we have is people's concern is traveling on roads.
Right.
And the biggest complaint we get is the conditions of roads.
Right.
So if the revenue source isn't there, then how can you maintain the roads to the level that people are
Right.
demanding?
You got a marijuana store in town?
No.
Okay, are you
It's been
gonna get
rejected
one?
Twice. by
Are you gonna get one?
No, it's been rejected twice by the voters of Chelmsford.
Voters don't want
It was
it.
a ballot,
Okay. Are you getting a meals tax in Chelmsford?
Yes.
and a hotel tax.
And
And we gobble that money up, right?
Yes, it goes to the general fund, yeah.
It's
But
the
we're
thing,
running
let's give the government more
We're
money.
running a $172 million operation.
I understand that, but
We're educating 4,000 students and,
We're doing a very good job at maintaining a
when I
budget.
look at Lowell,
yes.
it's just ridiculous the amount of money that we power piss away in Lowell. Just unbelievable how we get all this federal funds, state funds, grants, awards, poor people money, donations,
But we don't get that in Chelmsford. We don't get.
and
the
we
federal
have
money.
we have a higher tax rate than Drake does.
And you also have a
You also
split
have-
tax
you
rate.
probably
You have
also-
a-
you also have
Forget the rate. You
Property
have a
values.
lower tax
Tax
bill
bill,
than
right.
Drake it does.
Right.
Of the 10 towns that surround Chelmsford, okay? And we look at
So
this.
you don't think there's any waste of money in Lowell, Sam?
I'm sure there is.
There is a different
It's
issue.
It's a big operation. I'm sure there's some waste. But what I'm telling you is, and I've said this many times on your show before, of all the communities in the area, the Lowell property taxpayer gets the best bang for his buck because you have the lowest property tax bill of the 11 towns that we survey in the area. It's lower than Drake it. And there's three reasons for that. Number one, your property values generally are lower. Number two, you split the tax rate to the max, you got the 175 shift. And number three, only 34% of the city's budget comes from the property tax. 34%. In Chelmsford, it's 78%. The Chelmsford taxpayer pays 78%, property taxpayer pays 78% of the town's expense. In Lowell, the property taxpayer only pays 34%.
What are they paying Drake it?
It's probably,
Probably 70%.
it's a little lower than Chelmsford. It's probably between 65 and 70. Yeah,
my guess, yeah.
I would guess, yeah.
Because Drake doesn't get a sufficient amount of state aid.
But they get more state aid
I
than we do.
appreciate the tongue lashing, Sam. However, the government is pricing itself out of the market. You look at southern New Hampshire, the migration of our younger generation moving to southern New Hampshire is amazing.
Well, because they don't have an income tax.
They have a huge property tax.
They have
in
a
Southern
big
New Hampshire.
property tax. It's worse than
John,
here.
pricing themselves compared to what? If you were to
Right.
sit there and say the price of government versus the price of plumbing services or the price of manufacturing or what have you, or veterinary services, you name it, I don't think that's accurate. I don't think you can say that the growth of government spending has matched that of the private sector.
I agree with
Unlike
that.
the private
You
sector,
guys
we
don't
just
look
can't
at New
set our own
Hampshire.
prices.
I agree with that.
You guys can argue with me all you want, but
No, it's a fact.
Let's just
Have you been to a
look to New
veterinary
Hampshire.
office lately? Have you been to a grocery store? It's not fair to say that the price of government is increasing greater than the price of the market as a whole. And in fact, that's the problem, is we can't just, we don't have the right to set our pricing level.
No.
But yet if I go into Market Basket and the price of coffee goes up $3 a pound,
Nothing you can do.
nothing we can do about it. That's the market. And that's the difference, is we're capped by 2.5%. And therefore, we haven't grown at the level of private sector.
But there's also another piece that Paul, that you brought up.
That's
Hold
true.
that thought, Sam. Is when we want to build the school, we want to build the fire stations,
Yep.
the police station. You have a wage set by the state,
Prevailing wage.
and that is higher than what you have competitively in the private
Right.
industry. So the taxpayer is paying more to build a building than they would have to build their own building.
Whenever the government's paying, we screw the government.
But that's by the government rules, right? But the rules aren't set locally, they're set at the
State level.
Right.
level.
Chelmsford doesn't set them.
We don't set
Mass
the prevailing
does.
wage.
And then you have all the different regulations that come down from the federal government, which you currently have
So what do we got to do to change this, Ev?
I don't know what you can possibly do,
I mean,
unless
what
you can get.
You
one
guys
of
are
the
over there
things-
doing the Democratic thing. This is the Democratic thing.
One of the things that you
It's-
can do, John,
It's his fault. It's his fault.
well, no,
No,
what,
it's not that. It's-
if we make people aware
It's the
here,
law.
you have,
But-
if you
but
could have the media make people aware of exactly what's going on and who's doing what. You have a ballot question that said they want to audit the state legislature. They won't let her audit the state legislature. She's going to go back and put another ballot
She's
question
likely
on
going to
there.
be our next governor. Yep.
And I like this person, because at least she's persistent and she knows what she wants, and she's doing very well with what she's doing. But if they're not gonna audit, and we're not gonna know what's going on, we need to get rid of all of these people. I mean, that's my bottom line, and I'm not voting for an awful lot of them when they come up for reelection. And we won't go to what our federal
Who are you going to
state
vote for?
senators,
Are there any Republicans on the ballot in Massachusetts?
doesn't matter, I just leave it blank.
Yeah.
Well, then that's not gonna change, because as you know,
Nope.
the incumbency rate is.
Well, if there's only one
virtually
person running, I
guaranteed.
can't do anything about it.
Leave it blank, that's what I do.
Yes, and so
Right.
then the blanks win, and then
Right.
and
Even-
they personally don't care.
Even for Senator Kennedy's seat, John, you see, there's no Republican running.
Nope.
Right?
Correct.
Yeah, so what does that tell you?
He gets a pass.
Because they realize that a Republican can't win.
Correct.
By virtue of the letter or the party affiliation, not because of the merits of the
Yeah.
candidate.
One party rule is bad, and I don't care which party you're talking about. It's bad.
And
You
so
have
when-
to have a vigorous competition, and we don't have that in Massachusetts.
The other thing that can happen as far as the one-party system is that you have different levels of thought process within your party. You have liberals, you have moderates, and you have conservatives within each of the parties. You need to have more moderates and conservatives within the Democratic Party, and you just don't happen to have that currently.
But Evelyn, it's even the case that nobody runs against incumbents
Right.
within their party,
Right.
right? Senator Kennedy is obviously passed, is not there. You've got multiple people running for his seat.
Yeah.
If he was still alive, there'd be nobody running other
Right.
than himself.
Right.
And that's just the nature of the system, is the party doesn't allow, or promote challenges within their party. And so therefore it becomes and basically a ownership seat, that if you're elected to remain until basically you decide to step down.
So if you take a look at what's happening on a federal level, so you have a lot of, they keep calling them the old guard in the Democratic Party, you have a number of primary challenges that's going to happen.
In other states, not
Yeah.
Massachusetts.
I understand that, but
Right.
do you believe at any point in time that some of that may trickle down into this particular state?
No. Because you have extremists in the Republican Party that have basically undermined any kind of level of public support for the party, which is why they haven't been able to effectively run candidates for governor or
Well,
senator
I'm not
or
just-
congressperson
Right, but
or
I'm
even
not just
state
talking,
reps.
I'm not talking about Republicans, I'm talking about the Democrats. Do you feel as though, because you're
No.
watching a far more liberal left
No,
run,
because you get punished at the state level if you don't follow the leadership.
Correct.
That's the system.
Look what happened to Tammy Gouveia.
Right.
Perfect example.
It's you get in line or you're pushed out of
Yep.
line. And that's what happens because it's a system that rewards, loyalty. And it goes up to whatever level, whether you're talking, the Kraft family who's not been able to get any legislative support for anything, whether it's the city of Boston for a stadium or what have you. And even in Boston currently, you saw the mayor of Boston support candidates for council, and therefore it becomes a self-fulfilling
Yeah.
position of power and authority.
It's a closed loop system in Massachusetts. There's no question about it. That's exactly right, Paul.
and generally speaking, if we really want to, well, I'll throw this out there, it's really not a democracy. And it's not the constitutional republic as it was meant to be in
Nope.
Massachusetts at all.
Or at the federal
It's
level.
very-
And
I'd
it's
say
not
it's
the
very
Republicans
rare.
doing it, so.
The most notable one in this area was when Marty Meehan took on a seated congressman, Chet Atkins, right? That was probably the most notable recent inter-party challenge. And how many decades ago is that now?
Last century.
Right, exactly. But that's probably the most notable.
I went to school with Chet.
Right,
Was
but
somebody-
that was Marty took on an incumbent Democrat and beat him in the primary.
Was
That's
somebody in the
rare.
Democratic Party going to challenge, is it McGovern? Who's the other guy? No, Markey? The other guy. We have
Yeah,
Moulton.
Moulton. Yeah,
Well, Seth Moulton is announced.
Yeah, so
announced
he's
to
going
run
to,
against Markey, right?
yes.
At the
That'll be interesting to watch that
What's
one.
going to
Because
happen if
that's
any
really-
one of these characters rode on Epstein's jet?
I think
What a
it's-
mess.
I think it'll depend on what they did, quite frankly.
If
Well,
they
how do you
rode
know?
if they rode on his jet, that's going to be the end of their career.
We already had
The
Larry
Harvard
Summers
guy walked.
retire from public life. So I took a picture.
But there was more, there
The
was,
president wrote on, had obviously a lot of emails, and he's still there. It'll be interesting to see what comes out.
Wasn't on his jet, but Clinton was.
Oh, Clinton was on his jet, and so was she. So I had.
Clinton had him at the White House like 20 times.
they have to have some evidence that they actually did something wrong.
What do you want
Okay.
them? We're looking, the guy who
That's
runs
just
North
rich people hanging around with rich people.
That's all it is.
Korea.
Doesn't matter what
He's still
party it
waiting for
was.
that
That's all it
DVD with
is.
Stormy.
So I just sent you a picture of something I took off of Facebook. I don't know how accurate it is, but it
Well,
has.
it's on Facebook.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
We
which is
already
why-
know how
That's
accurate
the
it is.
disclaimer. That's the disclaimer. It says Epstein's Island visitors.
Did you
So
send
somebody
that
made
to-
a list.
No, did you send that to Facebook or?
Facebook.
Okay,
Did you
I'll-
hear
I'll-
that? I heard on the, this is incredible to me, and for you talk about a exact example of what we're talking about. This Congresswoman, Jasmine Crockett. So the story,
from Florida?
the story on the news this morning was that she is, of course, accusing Trump of all this Epstein stuff. But what she said was, and they questioned, and of course, there's no proof, right? So they came back at her and said, well, there's no evidence. And she says, well, I wasn't talking about that Epstein. I was talking about another Epstein. And everybody goes, what? And it was a semantics thing with her. And then they played the tape back, and that was correct. She said Epstein. She didn't say that. I mean, it was just ridiculous. So, I mean, it doesn't matter, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the facts are. It matters how these people use the story to their own political advantage. And people are sick of it. I'm sick of it. I can't even listen to the news anymore. I mean, I've developed my own alternate, what
You
I
can
consider
check
to
to see
be
if Sam wrote on
reliable sources of news. I can't listen to the networks.
See if there's any chases on this list.
No, there probably are, but it won't be me.
No, but there's an
I'm
awful
not
lot of
related to-
Democrats.
I'm
on
not
this
related-
list.
Look at Anderson Cooper.
I'm not related
Al
to the
Gore.
bank.
It's all wealthy people.
But what does that
Paris
mean?
Hilton. I mean, that's
Did they-
Bruce Willis, poor
Yeah.
Bruce Willis.
So they went to a party. What
Bill
does that
Clinton.
mean?
right.
Yeah.
It's rich people hanging out with other rich
That's
people.
all it
Why-
is.
yeah,
Ellen
why is
DeGeneres.
that surprising?
Members of the club.
Whoopi Goldberg.
Tom Hanks. I mean,
Oh, there's a lot, and they're pretty much all Democrats on
Well,
this list.
what
Thought you
that,
might be interested.
but what that means to me is this just proves the point. I mean,
John Travolta,
if it's this pervasive, what are they going to say about it?
Lady Gaga.
Everybody's on the list.
And we're
Right?
supposed that deviant behavior only rested with Epstein, that there was no.
Yeah,
come
right,
on.
exactly.
It's just-
The whole thing is
it's
ridiculous.
just, you know, it's a different.
It's ridiculous.
Because Trump's not on the list. That's why it's ridiculous. If Trump was on the list, this would be the highlight of the day.
If Trump had been
I'm sorry,
on
the-
the list,
the
we
teaser over here,
would have
kids.
known that 8 years ago, John. Believe
Right.
me. You know, so it's all a bunch of nonsense to create trouble. That's all it is.
That's all they wanted, was
Yeah.
to see what they could get on Trump.
Yeah, well,
They don't
Wonder
realize
why
what the fallout
Celine
will be.
Dion went there.
so
And then you have
Cher?
Elizabeth
Zion
Warren
Cher?
and somebody else wanting to do an investigation for the shutdown of the
This is
government.
good stuff, Ev.
It's called politics.
it's all nonsense.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing is, and it's another way to spend taxpayers'
Well,
money.
there you go.
Jimmy Kimmel,
Well, who
Steve
cares?
Colbert's on there too.
Who cares?
Hillary Clinton.
So anyway, getting back to Chelmsford, the town manager has been very good the
I'll leave
last,
this up for a little bit, so you
the
want to take a
last several
picture.
weeks.
Thanks, Ev. Where'd you get this?
Facebook.
We had a tri-board meeting.
Yep.
And my wife called it the Paul Cohen Gloom and Doom Report. That's what she called it. You know, so do you want to talk a little about that?
Yeah, as we
Right.
talked earlier, the issue is how do you maintain services
Yeah.
given the revenue constraints? And as you know, the state's been very guarded with its money because they're concerned they're going to lose the federal money. And therefore, there's sort of,
That's an area of uncertainty.
right, of uncertainty.
Right.
And so that's therefore, if you've got to meet the cost escalation, there isn't sufficient revenue to maintain level services. And that's not a Chelmsford phenomenon. That's, you know, it's
Everybody.
It's a everybody phenomenon. And the sad part is it's the same thing happening to the resident in their own lives, is they're having to sacrifice.
Yep.
And therefore, you know, their ability to fund, you know, their lives, including the cost of local government, is constrained. But, you know, something's got to give. And you can't, as I said earlier, you can't maintain that when you've got major costs such as healthcare, construction costs, and so forth, escalating at double-digit levels. And then Proposition 2.5 doesn't account for inflation. It's as simple as that, because if we had the ability to raise property taxes, even by an inflation level, that's what would happen. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you bring it to the ballot to the voters, it doesn't happen generally, and we know it doesn't happen in Chelmsford, especially when you only have a turnout of less, 10% of the electorate.
I was surprised, was it a year or 2 years ago? I don't remember.
Sam, grab it to the mic. I think yours died.
Yeah, okay, this one is died.
And if you could turn that mic on
Yeah, turn it on.
sideways, Sam,
There you go.
I'll know to
Turn
change
this
the
one
battery.
sideways?
No, just turn it on its side.
Turn it
Oh,
off.
on its side,
Okay.
lay it down.
Shut it off.
Now I know
And
to
shut
change
it
the
off.
batteries.
Okay.
Then he'll know.
So was it a year or 2 years ago? I don't remember, but the town of Westford rejected an override. So Westford is a much wealthier, on an income basis, town than Chelmsford is, so that was surprising.
Sam, this is lengthy, but it's good stuff.
Okay, it says, oh my God, well, you want me to read this one because of the first couple of words.
There you go.
I agree with you, Mr. McDonough, about appropriately compensating elected officials. Lowell is the 5th largest city in the Commonwealth. It was the 4th largest, but was beat out by Cambridge. I did not know that. That's interesting. The mayor there, and the mayor in Cambridge is like the Lowell mayor. He's not popularly elected, okay? He's appointed by the council. The mayor there receives an annual salary of around, no. Oh, I'm sorry. I was talking about the city manager. I'm sorry. That's a mistake. I apologize. He's talking about the mayor, which is the head of the city council.
It's a woman who wrote this.
So
She.
the mayor in Cambridge has a salary of $73,491. City council salary is not given, but councilors do receive a substantive salary along with other benefits, including a $2,500 annual allowance for expenses. Yeah, it's not bad. Also, the councilors' pay is adjusted annually to account for the cost of living. Now, I thought the city council compensation was a function of the manager's compensation, a percentage. Is that not true, or?
I don't know, but I can tell you if the mayor's earning $73,000, that's probably less than the median earnings of
yes.
anybody in Cambridge.
Of course.
And therefore, it
course.
demonstrates that that's not a full-time professional position.
Right.
Because if you say the mayor were running the city of
No.
Cambridge, they wouldn't be doing it at that price.
So,
Nonetheless, the salary for elected officials should be investigated, and they should be compensated properly.
The salary for a Cambridge, Massachusetts city councilor is $103,500 per year,
well, then the mayor has to be getting more
The
than
mayor's getting-
70.
which has been the
Yeah.
rate since 2020.
But I
Okay,
think that includes their office staff.
don't know.
It just says the official salary has been and salary means.
But out of that, they gotta pay for their secretary and their phone.
No, I don't think it's.
No.
budget.
I don't think
it's
so.
I think it's what they earn. as
Okay.
a
It's not their
I don't
budget
think
line
so.
item, because the budget line
I
item,
think Boston councilors earn about the same.
Those would be
include
city
everybody.
employees.
Right, they're full, they're
yeah.
expected to be a
Right.
full-time
Correct.
counselor, meaning.
Right.
They're dealing with, constituent concerns and
So what is it in Lowell, 25,000? Is that the number for the Lowell city councilor?
Yes.
Okay. And there's 11 of
city
them.
council salaries of city of Cambridge typically range from 86 to 90,000. How much does the mayor of Cambridge make? 73,491. Salem, Mass,
So the
73,472.
mayor gets less than a city councilor?
Well, maybe that's in addition.
Yeah, that can't be right. There's something wrong with that, yeah.
So there's a whole lot.
but it's also different than a town.
Oh, yeah,
I think the activities and the role of a councilor in Boston or Cambridge is tremendous. I mean, it is a full-time job
Yes, it
compared
is.
to what it would be, or
Yes.
should be in a rural community.
Yes.
There's a lot of misinformation out there on the internet. This is AI.
Yeah.
And I know the city councils make 25 grand. They don't make 31. The mayor might make 30, and the school committee makes 12.
Right, you see AI is translating it to $15 per hour. But
Let me tell you something. The AI,
Yeah.
don't rely
The
on
mayor
this.
makes-
More bad information.
I have here that the mayor of Lowell makes $32 an hour. I don't know how they,
Because
Calculate
they're
that.
calculating over a 40-hour week and
Right.
52 weeks a year.
Right,
But
right.
that's not what these people have professions outside
Right.
of their job as an elected official, just like the legislators do. Most state legislators, have jobs outside of their.
Here's
whether
more
it's
malarkey.
Attorneys or.
They're either lawyers or
Andy Rourke's
insurance
not making
people.
73 grand a year.
Right, and but that's not,
This is AI.
AI.
Yeah, well, forget it.
so for the period of April 28th, 2022 through April 28th, 2027, the manager, this is Lowell manager, shall be paid a salary of $235,000 a year.
Is that the
More-
base
it's more-
salary,
he's
or is
earning
that?
more than that.
Yeah.
He's
Well,
earning
he'll get more than that.
That's
but-
just the base salary, but then there's.
Yes, there's other pieces that
extras,
go
right.
along with that,
Okay.
but that's just the salary portion. So I
Now,
thought that was
Do
interesting.
you,
Because the manager doesn't have another profession outside of being the manager.
so in your
Whereas
opinion,
these other folks, it is a shared,
is
role.
that reflective of the market, do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my perception too, so.
Anyway, so it's kind of interesting to ask those kinds of questions.
Well,
And everything is online, so if anybody out there wants to
And
know
it's
whatever the numbers are.
untruthful online. We're looking at,
Well, it's inaccurate online.
Well, it's
because
inaccurate because it's all AI.
well, if you ask a
But it
question,
gives you a sense of scale and scope of what.
what isn't untruthful is if you go to the town or the city website and you search that information will be accurate.
Right,
okay?
because you've got budgets that have to be
Correct.
publicly posted.
Right, and then our town report just came out, and it's
Yep.
available online. You can find out everything of what everybody earns. In the
That's
community.
great.
Right, so since we're talking again more about money, which seems to be the whole thing that we're talking about, Monday night was the annual tax classification report. It's always deja vu for me because we started before you were town manager. So Sam did an excellent report. I thought that Reagan was very, very good. It was nice to put a face with a name and the position. So a general overview, because we've talked about tax classification here before and what that means to a city or a town, but I'm going to just turn it over to Sam and you to talk about, what did you present? What was the value in the town? What is the comparison between the commercial and residential? There's some overview with this. There was a number of posts on Facebook about it and questions, and I thought that was interesting. And
Didn't see
since
that.
we're on Facebook, I figured that might be interesting to maybe get into it a little bit deeper.
I'll just say one introductory remark. Tax classification doesn't provide the town with any more money to spend. And Sam knows that, and that's probably how Sam would start his
Yep.
comments with.
And
He's
that's,
just saying,
I'm
okay,
I'm glad you said that, because, I mean, I've said that to people, and I've had them tell me I'm lying, okay? I mean,
Right.
it's just the perception that people have. No, it's, the split situation, as Paul said, is revenue neutral. All it does is it decides how much of the tax levy a particular property class is going to pay. That's all they're doing, okay? So,
Yeah, and
Kick it
Sam
back
noted
to
in his report, basically the legislature, by a constitutional amendment back in the 70s, allowed a non-uniform, meaning not everyone pays the same rate on the value of their assessed value of their property. They allow a community to split the rate, i.e., splitting it towards allowing commercial, industrial to pay a higher burden than a uniform rate would have. And then there's other nuances like residential exemptions that are just getting into the weeds that don't apply in
nobody
Chelmsford and
understands
so
it.
forth. Nobody understands anyway. But the bottom line is they allow you to shift the burden from an equal tax rate on assessed value to a higher rate. In some cases, like the city of Lowell, you can shift that by up to 75%.
That list that we put up is fake.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
So disregard that list because it's fake.
Shocked to hear that.
It'd be interesting to see where they got the list.
I
to
just saw
begin with.
Prince Charles on that list too, so I
Oh,
don't
we
know.
know Prince Andrew wasn't fake.
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
think-
and we know the Clintons weren't fake, and Larry Summers was on that list.
Yeah, probably.
So, the question is, how much of it is fake? And did they put that up because somebody wants it to be fake?
Right.
And they
Don't
don't want
pay any
them to
attention
know
to that.
who's on that list,
Yeah.
somebody's name's up there.
But back to the tax rate.
Yes.
So that basically, the Chelmsford currently has a split of 17%. And the select board will decide on December 1st, its next meeting, whether to maintain that split or as the trend continues, would be to reduce that split more towards a uniform rate. And the challenge with that is obviously, is noted, if it's revenue neutral and you're reducing the commercial industrial share, that means it's going to bump up the residential
Yeah.
share, which means it's going to increase the residential taxpayer. And right now, if they were to maintain it at 17%, the average single-family home value property tax would go up by 4%.
Yeah, $351.
Right, and I think the commercial would be 1%, roughly around there, or 7
Yes.
tenths of a percent, somewhere
Yes.
around there. So obviously, if you're going to shift it lower towards a more uniform rate, then the average single-family bill is going to increase, as would condos and so forth. But in order to provide that, it's a question about what elasticity, or a question more technical terms, but more in practical terms, how much does the select board want to change the annual change in the residential tax bill? As Sam noted, the shift occurred 7 or 8 years ago when they shifted it by 27%, and since then it's been clawed back now to 17. And the question is how much in this economy and given the time does the board wish to reduce it further? And that's their sole decision under the state law.
Absolutely. They are 100% responsible for that. And it further complicating the issue, and we showed it during the presentation, was even without a select board imposed shift, if we had a single rate for all those years, we've had a natural shift away from the commercial to the residential of about 2.3%. So just naturally, the value of the residential has increased faster than the value of commercial. So any split further that's an argument in favor of a split. Okay,
Right, yeah.
when you have a natural shift, and that actually was, if you do the research, you find that really was the impetus behind the implementation of a split tax rate, because what was going on in Proposition 2.5, that was an unintended consequence. That exacerbated the problem, because before the state required in the early 80s that property be valued at its full and fair cash value, communities weren't doing that. They were valuing residential properties fractionally. but they were valuing commercial properties at their full value incorrectly. So before 2.5 and before the split mechanism came in, the commercial property was already bearing a disproportionate amount of the tax levy. So the two things happen. 2.5 comes in, and then at the same time, the legislature says, oh, by the way, you guys aren't valuing your property accurately. You have to do full and fair cash, and we have to certify to that every 5 years. And then all of a sudden, what happened was, because now the assessors were required to do that, the value of the residential properties rose exponentially, while the commercial property and industrial was relatively flat. That's how you got the split tax rate. The legislatures looked at that and said, we can't have that. I mean, we're having massive tax increases for residential people, and we got to do something about it. And then they bumped into the state constitution that said, sorry, you have to treat everybody the same way.
Sam,
And then they amended the constitution to do it.
But in real
don't
terms,
kid yourself. There are people cheating like crazy on cheating Massachusetts out of whatever money they can. We have construction companies putting down hot top in our region.
Yeah.
With all vehicles that were purchased in New Hampshire, with New Hampshire plates on them.
Right, but there's residents cheating on their property income tax as well,
Of
John.
course.
I mean, there's people who obviously look to take an advantage of the
course.
system. But the problem in Chelmsford is 85% of our property value is residential.
Correct.
And therefore, the difficulty of splitting the rate when 85% is in one class is what makes that
Well,
split so
what
challenging.
would behoove the government if you have a tractor trailer dropping off a bulldozer to do government work in your town, and the tractor trailer has New Hampshire plates on it? Why shouldn't the cop who's the detail there say, hey,
Because if the tractor
That's New
trailer,
Hampshire
if the
plates.
tractor trailer runs across many states, they can't register in every state. And that's why that you see that most of them
that's
have
why we cheat, we get away with cheating in
Delaware
Massachusetts. We
rates.
like to look the other way.
There isn't a state law or regulation that requires that all
Let me tell you how
construction
this
done
works. Let me
in
tell you how this-
Massachusetts
let me
is
tell you
done
how
by
this works.
Massachusetts companies.
This is how it works, okay?
You
Well,
wouldn't want
have,
that.
I work for, we'll say I work for Evelyn's construction company. I do hot top. Her office is in New Hampshire. So I have a residence in Pelham.
Yeah.
But I live in Lowell, but I have a residence in Pelham. So my checks are all made out to Johnny McDonough, Pelham. No income tax taken out of my pay. I work all day hot topping in Massachusetts. And our government officials just look the other way because it's too
That's
hard
not
to-
true.
It is true.
If you're a New Hampshire resident and you earn your income in Mass, you
tax.
pay state tax.
Right.
No, you don't.
Yes,
Sure
you
you
do.
You have
You
to.
don't.
John, I
It's a-
did income
it's a
taxes for
loophole.
15 years.
Sam,
I
it's a
know
loophole.
what the law
It's where
is.
you assigned to work.
I know what the law is.
Okay, so there's
Okay.
another piece to this.
Okay.
Yes,
Sam, wait a
you
minute.
pay tax.
There's
No, you
another
don't.
piece to this. You have a company.
2025.
You have a company that is employing you. Let me see if I can get this straight in my head. You have a company in New Hampshire that is employing you, and you live in New Hampshire, but the company has business in Massachusetts. The company is paying you. Massachusetts is paying the company. So the company is the one that is footing the taxes. So the question is, how are they paying you?
We don't
Because
track
you're
where they
still
go.
there,
If you,
because you're working for the
We don't
New Hampshire
track
company.
where
I'm
they
gonna
go.
I'm gonna make it very simple.
That may be
Please
what he's
do.
thinking.
I'm going to make it very simple. If you live in Massachusetts and you work in New Hampshire and get paid by a New Hampshire company, you pay Mass state income tax.
And it
That's
would
the
be your
law.
primary
If you
residence.
live in New Hampshire and work in Massachusetts,
You pay New Hampshire.
you pay Mass income tax.
Yeah.
They get you both ways. Yes, that's the law.
And that's
okay.
always what,
Yes.
So's driving 65 on 495.
well, anyway, it does, the thing is, that's what the state law is. Somebody who's trying to get around it somehow or another, that's up to them.
Well, I used to do that as part of my job, so I know how it works. And we had salespeople that worked in different states. And it gets very complicated because it's apportioned. You've got to actually do a calculation of how many days did I work in Massachusetts, okay? And that's how they tax you, all right? So Massachusetts, whether you live in New Hampshire or you live in Mass, it makes no difference. you pay state income tax to this state.
And that's not
Okay.
the only, we're not the only state that does that.
Oh, no.
Every other state does the same thing.
Most other
Like,
states
My
do it.
only point
Well, we know as a town, we take withholdings from people who live out of state.
Correct.
For
Yes,
New Hampshire, what have you.
correct.
it's happening. Sam says it's not happening. I'll bet you that it is, because the guy I'm talking to gave me all these details. And,
Well, he may be cheating on his
Yeah.
taxes. That's the answer.
well, he knows he's cheating.
Right.
Well, there's
Just
your
like when you're
answer.
doing 75 on 495, you know
Right,
you're
it's
cheating.
also like people who
Yeah.
who own property in Florida or in Massachusetts,
Right.
where they live the majority
Right,
of the year.
right.
I'm sure, John, there's some skirting there about.
Look at the plates
saying
on their
that
car.
That they live in, yeah, exactly. So, I mean, of course, there's people, that's just the way
However,
the world works.
but the plates on the car,
Yeah.
the insurance companies are now allowing that if you have a location that you park your vehicle in New Hampshire, you can register that car in New Hampshire, even though that's not your primary
But what does the
residence.
New Hampshire law say? Never mind the insurance company.
That's
What's
the New Hampshire law, you can do
Okay, so
that.
that's New Hampshire law.
Yes.
All right, okay.
Yes.
All right.
Because what we did was
I
we
don't think
registered
it's
the truck
mass
up
law.
there because the truck never leaves the state, pretty much.
Right.
But
So
you
it
have a
stays on the-
residence, you have a
Your property
residence in New
they can-
Hampshire.
they can
Yes,
register.
and that's what I said.
Right.
Is if you have property up there,
That makes sense.
because you
Right.
have to have an
But you have
address.
to have an address, right, so.
Yes.
So some, yeah, I think that's the
That makes
difference.
sense.
But all the other vehicles are, obviously, we do pay to the town.
We're running out of time, so we got to get back to beating up Paul. He's not
So
going to
you
be
could
here.
cheat
How
and
did we skip
register.
the announcements? That's the part I can't figure
Well,
out.
that was a good thing. That was a good thing.
Oh, yeah, we blew right
But
by
don't
the
forget that we
announcements.
do have a holiday.
I like that, that's good. We should have
That's
you on
Evelyn's
more.
favorite part of the show, but Paul's here today, we don't want to.
If
Yeah.
Paul's on, we don't do
Yeah,
Yeah,
announcements.
can you be on all the time? Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
We'll be a regular visitor. So, on December 7th, in Chelmsford, we will
Pearl
have a
Harbor Day.
holiday lighting ceremony. It's
What
all
is it?
online, it's on the
You're gonna light the
website.
tree.
Have no
Yeah.
announcements today.
Good.
Right, but we did have, Vivian was here last week, and so we do have that. If you have a dog, you want to watch for dog park stuff. I did notice on Facebook that there's a lot of holiday preludes and things that's out
Do
there.
you want the announcements?
But don't bring,
No, I don't
No.
want any announcements.
Don't
I'm
bring the
fine.
dog to the dog.
Not at
Don't bring the kids to
7:55.
the dog park if they're under 10.
Yeah, and then, there was somebody at the Board of Selectmen
Weird.
meetings that would like you to drop the age, to 8?
No, it currently is 8. They
It's
raised it
8
to
now.
10.
They want to raise it to 10.
Okay,
Raise
but
it
they
to 10.
didn't particularly care for that.
Yeah.
One of the other things that always comes up, it's a minor thing that is one of your responsibilities, and that's all of the appointments
Mm-hmm.
to the different committees. And I briefly listened. I was saying, geez, there's a lot of
There's a lot.
opportunity
Yeah.
for volunteers
Be an
to,
assessor.
to, but there's
Wouldn't
much
wish
more
that
to
on
assessment, to be part of one of these committees. Now, the process, you have applications online,
Yes.
and so you can fill that in, goes to your office. And from that point, is it Christina that picks it up? Is it James that picks it up? Because somebody has to access all of this.
Yeah, it gets electronically sent to them. Actually, I receive them as well.
Okay, so you have that, and they designate what they want and all this other stuff. But there are a lot of vacancies, and do you have that list of vacancies online?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay,
it
so if anybody is looking for a volunteer thing, that would be nice, pick something. So there are easier committees out there than other
And
committees.
soon it'll be time for town meeting seats in the first of the year.
Yes.
Then the opening for all the town meeting seats come up, a third of the 165.
Now, is the new thing kicked in now where you only need 5 signatures? Is that,
That's to be elected, but to run for the seat, I think you need.
25.
You need 25
And 50 for,
for elected
The other.
office, statewide, townwide office, yeah.
yeah,
no, for town meeting is,
Town meeting, yeah.
Town
You know,
meeting's
to be elected,
25.
to be elected, though, it's.
oh,
yeah.
okay. Why did I
Tomorrow's
think it
show,
was
Cliff
changed?
Rick will be the host.
Yeah.
Eileen Del Rossi's going to be here. Jose Cervantes is going to be here, and Regina Fonacant is going to be here. That's tomorrow's City Life. Time is short, Ev.
right. So to continue with this topic, because I just want to make sure the process is out there, is that you make an application. Now, if you're on a committee and you want to resign, it's up to you to resign and let the town manager know, not the chair of
Town
the
clerk,
committee.
Yeah, town clerk most notably is.
Right, because we will have a vacancy on ATEF.
Okay.
And she hasn't notified you apparently, because you would have said that on,
We had the list. yeah.
yes, you would have had that. So the Arts and Technology Education Fund will have a vacancy. So it's a relatively simple committee to be on, but we'll see how complicated it gets next year. Next year will be my 30th year.
Volunteers are a problem.
And,
But you don't get a stipend to be the chair
Nope.
of the.
no, we don't get any money,
Nobody
but
gets any money in Chelmsford.
I helped start the committee along with George Ripsum, and it was Tony Volpe's idea, so, and even Mary Franz worked on some different things with Tony Volpe, even though they didn't agree with it way
Mary
back when.
France.
And that was 1995, so, but we do have it, and that will be one. There are positions on the Permanent Building Committee. I'm on that committee also, so I'll put a
Hey, you
plug
guys
for those.
replaced Curlin yet, John Curlin?
That's an
No,
elected
he's
position.
That's an elected
He'll be
official.
up- He'll be
Oh.
up in the April
Yeah,
election.
so-
He's gonna be surely missed. I
Yeah.
like John.
For a
Good
So we
man.
have the
term.
town manager position will be open.
Town manager position.
Not town manager, I'm
Select
sorry.
board. Select board.
You have a select
know
board
something we
position
don't?
open. No, I don't, I'm hoping that there's nothing gonna happen, then there's
Select
no
board,
vision that happened with
this-
regard to
yeah,
that.
this-
Right, and then
open
you have the
select
town
board.
moderator, that's what I
Yeah.
meant to say, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. Still a little early, I need
Open-
protein
open
rather
seat
than
there
just
as well.
coffee.
Yep.
Yep, so there'll be an open seat that's there.
Another
and-
unpaid position.
And, yeah, and so there's a lot that's out there for opportunity if you would like to be involved in your local community, among other things that you might like to do. But thank you very much for being
Yes.
with us this morning, lots of information. Again, if anybody's listening and you do have questions for the town manager, we'll be able to, you can see the call or text 978-808-8200, and we'll get those questions to him, and we'll schedule him in another couple of months.
Yeah, and why it matters, there's big things coming up. Tonight's the second session for the community input on the new middle school.
Yep.
And so that'll be coming to a vote probably within 18 months, which is.
Will that be televised?
That will be it will be televised, yes, by telemedia.
Okay.
That's coming up. We're constructing 2 new fire stations currently right now. We just got a $1 million grant to install solar panels and geothermal HVAC in that system. So that $26 million project is on the way, and the construction should start in the spring. So it does matter to get involved. Obviously,
Yes.
why I'm bringing that up, Evelyn, is there are some important things coming up in the community.
Yep, and if you want to have a say and not complain about anything, that's what you should do. So thank you very much for being with us, and won't see you next week. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh, what's for lunch?
Oh, my God, this was awful.
Thanks for our senior lunch.
Believe it or not, those are Swedish meatballs.
Thanks for watching.